Hello fellow Hunters of the Blue and welcome to my channel, and welcome to yet another NMM video. When people showcase NMM in weapons, they usually use a sword, me included. There are several reasons to do so, but the main one is that it just makes it easier. But of course that leaves a huge gap in the tutorial space for weapons that are not sword shaped, so I decided to make a quick video explaining how to paint an axe. Well, not really, but it's just close enough. Hopefully I can give you tips that will help you paint any shape of bladed weapon successfully. But first let me talk to you about today's video sponsor, Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus is the absolute best Warhammer based mobile game, an exciting turn-based tactical strategy game set in the eternal conflict of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The best thing about Tacticus for me is that the people making it are true Warhammer fans, just like us, and it really shows. Tacticus is free to play, yes, but it's also highly tactical. It's one of those games that it's easy to learn but hard to master, and rewards good strategy over any other thing. You will find a challenge in Tacticus as you compete in various game modes, including PvE campaigns, PvP, live events, guild raids, and much more. Assemble and lead over 70 Warhammer 40,000 champions from 17 playable factions, with more champions and more content being added all the time. You will always have something to do, and it's amazing to be able to feel that Warhammer shaped hole we all have in our souls anywhere you are. Join a passionate community of gamers and Warhammer fans by clicking the link below or by scanning the QR code on screen. Thanks to Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus for sponsoring this video, and let's get cracking. So today we are going to paint this lovely halberd. Yes, it's not an axe, but it's almost an axe. It's a hybrid between an axe and a spear. So consider this a 2 for the price of 1 kind of tutorial. And if you've been a follower of the channel, you would have already seen this model before, specifically painting the golden armor in one of my videos that I will have linked down below. And if you have been a Patreon supporter, you would have seen this cape and, you know, front and back painted, as well as the face. It's a Patreon exclusive video, and I did this axe with one of my Patreons as a exclusive lesson. I offer that as well, so subscribe if you want to have private lessons with me. And this side obviously isn't painted, so we're going to paint that now, and I will show you how to recreate this effect super easily. And we're going to talk about the reasons why we do the things we do. Let me first explain the reasoning behind this. So when you are painting a bladed object, especially the ones that have one bladed side plus one flat side, the best solution generally is to leave the flat side as dark as possible and concentrate the light onto the bladed side. So that's what we're going to do, and you can apply this theory to any kind of weapon. That includes like scimitar kind of swords, so one bladed side with one flat side. You can apply this to double-sided axes, or even swords that have 2 bladed side and 1 flat side in the middle. You can also do that with this method. And as you can see, we have this base coated using black, and the first step is going to be to apply our first highlight using Storm Vermin Fur. So we have Storm Vermin Fur, and what I usually like to do is to have it in a rather heavy consistency. Storm Vermin Fur is quite a thin paint in terms of coverage, and we're going to take advantage of it and plot our main highlights. When you're painting blades of any kind, it always looks better if the main highlight on the NMM concentrates on the curved part of the blade. So I'm just going to apply this, and as you can see, I'm doing this kind of motion where I'm just painting lines going more or less in the direction of the blade, like that. I'm going to blend this later, but if we have some texture showing, I want that texture to follow the natural texture that a blade already object would have. So now we have all our shapes more or less sketched, and I hope you understand the reasoning behind it. Now we have to blend this, and to blend this I'm going to use a 1-to-1 mix of Stormberg Fur and black. And we want the same consistency, in this case something like this. You see, it's not like a glaze or anything, it's just a thin layer, we can say. Again, taking advantage of the properties of the paint itself, and I'm going to do the same movement, just filling in the gaps and try to make everything a little bit smoother. On top of this, I do want to make maybe a small gradient of the flat side. The risk with this blade, especially when it is this big, is that if you leave everything just straight up black, it just looks a little bit boring, a little bit flat. So I'm going to take the 1-to-1 mix of Stormberg Fur and black, and I'm going to do sort of a highlight here towards the lower part of the blade. So black at the top, slightly less black at the bottom. Now let's do the next highlight. And for the next highlight, I'm just going to add Ulthuan Grey into the Stormberg Fur. 2 parts Stormberg Fur, 1 part Ulthuan Grey. And we want the same level of consistency, a little bit thinner probably, because we are using Ulthuan Grey in our mix. And that means that the color is going to be way more opaque. I'm going to start doing the same pattern, just picking the whole blade and doing these small lines. Because the paint is transparent at this point, because we added so much water into it, we can start creating that blending just by layering it, just by going again over the same areas. We create a natural blending process. If we need to blend, especially in this big blade here, if we need to blend it backwards, we can always use a little bit more of Stormberg Fur in the same consistency and just apply it. And at this point, I'm also going to do all of the edge highlights. Because this blade is very sharp, we can use the side of our brush to make our life way easier, just picking up all of the edges. But we will also have to pick the difficult edges, such as, well, first of all, the rivets here, but also these triangles. For my next highlight, I'm going to do 2 parts Ulthuan Grey, 1 part Stormberg Fur. Again, this same sort of consistency, so we want quite a lot of water in our paint, but very little paint in our brush. That's the key. You don't want your brush to be overloaded. I have a super large brush, and because I do prefer large brushes, because paint will dry slower, and I can just work with this brush load. I can do the whole thing without having to reload, and it's just so much more convenient. I'm going to start doing the same. You can see that the jump in terms of value is quite strong now. Just by modifying the pressure I'm doing when doing these brush strokes, I can create a blend just by you know how much pressure I put into the brush stroke. On top of all of these bladed blends, we also need to keep on doing the edge highlights. And for this, what I'm going to concentrate is on the edges that are facing upwards. So the ones that are looking towards our main source of light, that in this case is just a classical zenithal. You see that slowly but surely the non-metallic effect is showing through. Now we have this, and it's looking quite good. It's time to add the final punch in terms of contrast and of shininess. So I have Ulthuan Grey, and as I said, Ulthuan Grey can be quite a weird paint to work with, quite unruly, and it can go chalky very, very quickly. So you have to be very careful, have enough water, and let's do the same thing. But each time I'm concentrating my brush strokes towards my main points of light. We are doing more and more layers, and the more layers we do, as we said before, is what makes the gradient start showing through. Don't forget to also do the edge highlights. Again, edges that are directly facing upwards. I'm going to be very aggressive with this paint. Metal, and this being Stormcast, just fits that the metal is very shiny. And the last step is just using white. Because as I said, I really want this blade to look very, very shiny. For the white, using a good quality white helps, but you also have to thin it down and work in thin layers. If you want to know which white I'm using, I'm currently testing and using quite profusely this White Star from 2 thin coats, and it's really, really good. It's still white, so I mean it's good for a white, but it's still white and it's still shit. All white paints are shit. So I'm just adding the white into the brightest spots to create that final punch in terms of shine and light. So if you ever see like reviews of white paints and they say, "Wow, this is the best white ever," and you buy it expecting it to be good, and then it's just as shit as the other ones. Yeah, white is shit. There's no escaping from that. There are some whites that are better than others. As I said, this is one of the best ones, but it's still white. It's still the pigment you have to work with. And I think I am done with this blade. I'm very pleased with the result. I think it looks absolutely awesome, as does this side here. As you can see, very similar patterns, very similar way of painting it, and looking just as good. This tutorial should have given you all the tools you need to approach any non-metallic metal bladed object with confidence. If you have any doubts, consider watching any of my other multiple NMM videos. Is there any other NMM video tutorial you want to see? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget that if you like my videos and want to help me make them, you can follow me on social media. You have the links to all my social media in the description below and in the pinned comment of this video. Share and like this video, but most importantly, there is Patreon and channel members. Patrons and members allow me to do all the cool videos that I want to make, and most importantly, they allow me to release them for free here on YouTube. Perks include access to an amazing Discord community full of lovely people, access to many more Patreon exclusive videos, and now also private one-on-one online tutorings. Help me and join the list of the coolest persons in the planet, including Daniel McCormack Smelt, Adam McGrade, McAngry, Max G, Dave Griffiths, Victor, Michael Sullivan, Corey Trickler, Pip-Boy, Lugubrious Cramhorn, Derek VW, Aredrus, John Michael Harkness, Soil Sijafet, Emilio Nguix, 3Gs, Marco Paratzik, James Coplin, Rogelio Thomas, Geek Daddy, Wandering Paria, Steve Fain, Quita&Go, TTSS Productions, Jay Huber, Minis by Eb, Benjeline, Emily Queen of Love, Nicholas Davis, Agon David, Pablo Cuesta, Benjamin Barbet, Pumpkin Hill, Chris Black, Jacob, Matthias Babiuk, Andrei Michensko, Aaron Miller, Jake Stein, Stefan Zimmerman, Andrew Walden, Tom, Dr. Mike, Martin Drybrush, Shual, PJM, David Ridey, Matt Wallace, Mark Carter, Hendrik, Chester Ross, Tyler Hughes, Chris Gilroy, Allman Gaming, Spacey Joe, Mark Watson, Hamish Donald, Matthew Lang, Stavros Stavro, Mark G, Mike Regueira, Romain Ars Miniatura, Just Rex, Dr. Cathaver, Angelos Alexos, Des, Josep Nicole Ancona, Mark Vellencoop, Felix Franke, Aaron Bernstein, Daniel Remin, Bowsy, Terry Denham, Planche, Tony, Biom, Howard Holdville, Stephanie Old, Richard St. Pierre, Michael Wakeman, Stefan Rockford, Royal Nilsson, Oscar Jonathan Thornberg, Nin Nguyen, Dan Mako Cristalios, Bartosz Badensky, Kevin Mian, Darcy Farrar, Antius Maximus, Javi Mota, Eamon Patton, Adam Thaxton, Heather Amster, Mark Atkinson, Jarvis Fergal, Jeff Simpson, Christoph Moret, G-Force, Dr. V, Donald Lindemann, Kieran Murther, Andrew Dyer, and Kevin Sulas. And as for me, I will catch you in the next one. Bye!